and Susi here at Fishman Live. Today we have a very special guest, but before I announce it, we will be taking questions for this artist on YouTube, our Fishman Facebook Live, the Facebook Live, our Twitch account, and YouTube. So if you want to ask our guest any questions, just feel free to jump on those platforms and ask away. But as I said before, we're dealing with ways to avoid this current pandemic, and now we're seeing how it's affected the music industry, and it's obviously affecting everyone's lives. Socially and business-wise, now we have a health crisis and an economic crisis at the same time. But please remember to adhere to the regulations of your state. So stay away from everybody and be safe out there, guys. But I am super happy to announce this guest. He's one of my personal favorite guitar heroes of all time, Mr. Steve Stevens. You are on the screen. How you doing, brother?
Good to see you happy and healthy.
Yeah, I know. Last time you and I met, it was probably like a year ago. We were down at Mates, and you were in your rehearsal studio just getting ready for a tour. We saw Billy walk out of the room. So it's good to see you also healthy. You're over in LA, right?
Yeah. We were the last show in Vegas. We finished our residency. It'll be 3 weeks ago, and been home ever since. So, but a musician's life when you're not on the road. We're pretty insular anyway. Most musicians have studios, home studios, and just got home and started writing some music and recording.
That's cool. Well, yeah, I was going to say, like, all the stuff that I've ever seen of you online, you don't really get to see into too many artists' personal lives, but you've been on some, celebrity shows and whatnot. But you seem like you're a tech guy. Like, you have your own recording studio. You always have, like, a ton of rack gear, which is obviously behind you. Is that what you're reverting to? Just kind of like sitting in the studio and writing and trying out new gear?
Yeah, pretty much so. It's, at first you go, okay, well, I'll just hunker down in my studio. But, usually you have to be inspired to write music. And we're not living in inspired times. But I'm doing stuff. Billy Idol and I have done a couple of webcasts to raise money for people that, need a little bit of assistance. We'll be doing one on Friday. We did one last week. So, we're doing what we can do. My wife is actually sewing masks for people, and we're just keeping busy and keep contributing in what way we can.
Yeah, I'm going to say, like, for most musicians, maybe being quarantined isn't necessarily the worst thing, right? Because you get more done.
Yeah, I mean, it's but it's in a way yes, in a way no. I mean, we all try and get out and hike or whatever. Gyms are closed, everything's closed, and it's definitely different.
What are you seeing outside, basically, in your area? Obviously, everyone's dealing with different stuff. We have one guest here that just popped in and said hi from Italy. So, what is it like down in California, particularly LA, in the area that you're in? I mean, are you seeing a lot of activity on the street? Are you social
really
distancing and stuff?
Yeah, it's really quiet. I mean, the amazing thing is we found that Nextdoor app is really useful because we didn't want to go to the mega supermarket. So a lot of this small restaurants, I'm right near Sunset Plaza area, which is all restaurants. They converted to little groceries, and so we're able to get stuff, and they they hand you your sanitizer and your gloves as you walk in. But I mean, people are adapting to this, but yeah, I definitely recommend everybody get that Nextdoor app because you'll find a lot of information on there, or people that need help. Maybe elderly in your neighborhood, and people can go and run and get them their medications. And I'm finding a lot of much more of a community atmosphere where I live than I was aware of.
What app are you referring to again? What is it called?
It's called Nextdoor, and it's an app for your. I know I'm on an iPhone, so it's an iPhone app, and I'm sure Android and whatever. And it's all you register in your neighborhood, and people talk about where can I get so-and-so? Where can I get a mask? Where can I get some, toilet paper, whatever it is?
But that's pretty cool. There's like a network, whereas like if an elderly person needs help, someone will direct you to that person.
Exactly, and it's very localized. You put in your exact address, and it's all. I mean, I don't really see many of my neighbors, but now I'm like virtually getting to know some of them. Oh, okay, this guy lives here. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's we found it to be really helpful.
That's awesome. Well, guys, you heard it first from Steve. Nextdoor, the app, download it, see if you can help someone in your neighborhood. But
Right.
obviously, be careful and try not to contract any the virus that's plaguing us all. But going back to your studio and stuff like that, I mean, you have a lot of gear. I'm sure. I mean, you're a dude, right? You're a guitar player. What is it that you do in your studio? I mean, obviously, writing is the first and foremost, but we all know that you're tinkering with amps and things and gear and preamps and stuff. What's a regular day in the studio like for Steve Stevens?
I mean, usually the goal is to come out with at the end of the day, have a song or something that, I always, actually right up until we finished in Vegas, Billy Idol and I were writing for a new EP. So we were in the midst of writing mode. We had been working with some producers and stuff. And so I'm sure we'll resume that after this is all blown over. So I'm always looking for song ideas, and I'll email them to him. Hey, in the studio, just had this idea. What do you think? And also, there's Deadland Ritual, which is the kind of you know I won't say all star, but that's the band I have with Geezer Butler and Matt Sorum and Frankie Perez. So we also were getting ready to resume recording, and so I have two outlets for that.
Yeah.
So I'm not a guy that sits down and goes, okay, well I'm going to practice for 2 hours today or something. It's usually with the intent that I'm going to come out with a song or a riff or an idea.
So yeah, let me. I mean, I'm sitting in my home recording studio. I spent a ton of money on this, and I'm the type of guy who I have like these Dynamo mic robotic arms and stuff like that, and I'll
Oh
sit there and
wow.
I'll mic an amp, play something, reamp it, and just move mics around and stuff and do all that crazy stuff. But yes, I'm also the same way. Like I'll write, submit stuff to my band and all that stuff. What's the writing? I mean, you're definitely Steve Stevens. I mean, you play in Billy Idol, but you've worked on so many other different things. So you got to stay busy. What's the writing process for you like? Is it like because remember I remember like you write pop, you write all different types of music. Is it are you formulaic with it? Are you just kind of guy? Are you the kind of guy that just kind of sits down and like comes up with a riff and then kind of expands on it? Like what's your process like?
I would say with Idol, it's not usually riff based. It's always song based. And I forgot what the name of the app is on. Let's see here. It's on my iPhone, and I'll always just sit with an acoustic guitar, voice memos. So I'll sit with an acoustic guitar sometimes, for an hour or so, and just whatever little chord structure or something unique, something I haven't done before. I'll put it on there, and then I'll sift through them, usually once a month. And there's literally, could be 100 of them. And then I'll go, that shit, that shit, that shit. Oh, that's a good one. That's got a nice thing to it. And
Yeah.
then I'll expand it. And then, I use, there's a couple of go-to programs. Usually I start with Superior Drummer, Tune Track, and I'll get a groove based on my riff idea or my chord idea.
Yep.
Take it a little bit further. Either start with an electric guitar and get a very very rough idea, a scratch idea, and see where it takes me.
Yep.
And then don't usually go that far on it, especially with Idol. I won't go that far on it before I'll send it off to him and go, "What do you think? Anything?" Because we have a very specific kind of, I mean, obviously, after guy's got a 40-year career, and we definitely go, okay, well, what are we looking to do conceptually, stylistically? With Deadland, there's really no limitations.
Yeah.
Uh, it's usually a lot of, a heavier side, certainly a heavier side than the Billy Idol stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say when you say Billy Idol's more song based. Is it
Right,
like do you just put together the foundation, let him like taste test it, or does he
right.
ever send you voice memos from like when he's out at the store and like Billy might have a harm melody or something and pass it your way? Is that kind of how it goes?
A lot of times, yeah. I mean, he's always on an acoustic guitar, so usually, I mean, we're together a lot, either touring or hanging, or like I said, I'll see him Friday. We're doing something, so he may say, "Hey, I was thinking about this idea. What do you think about it?" And it's usually him and an acoustic guitar, and then I'll take out my memo thing and just record that and
Yeah.
go, "Okay, let me see where I can take that," or,
Yeah.
it's pretty immediate. I don't get emails from him in that nature.
Yeah.
He doesn't. He's not a demo guy, but it's always like a very instinctive kind of like, this. What do you think? And
It's
that's
a,
the way it's always been.
yeah, I was gonna say it's always a blessing when your singer can send you like
Yeah,
something with like a guitar line and him singing. Usually that's not the case.
yeah. I mean, we've been doing. Our partnership has been so it's so long lasting. We kind of second guess each other, and if once we kind of amass a certain amount of songs, we kind of know. Okay, now we need a rocker,
Yeah.
Oh, now we need a ballad, we both kind of like, oh, it's pretty obvious to us at this point what we're looking for.
Yeah. So okay. So let me ask you this question. So I'm sure everybody has asked you. I don't watch many of your interviews, but I'm sure everyone's asked you what's it like to get hooked up with Billy, right? And then have some hits and whatever. But what was it like prior to meeting Billy? Like, what was your life like then? Like, were you playing the club circuit? Did you live in L.A.? Were you bouncing from band to band? Were you always kind of like a solo guitar player where you joined stuff, or were you like? Did you build your own group and then move towards that?
Well, I'm originally from New York, and I started. I went to the Fame School in Manhattan, and I dropped out before my senior year. I did get my GED, kids, but then I joined I dropped out because I was already playing in a cover band. I was gigging like three nights a week, and I was on that same Long Island circuit that Twisted Sister did. Did that for a number of years. Was an amazing training ground, and also we did a lot of Zeppelin and Genesis and some of the more prog stuff, as well as Lou Reed, and we even did some Sex Pistols. So whatever was popular. But you got to dissect those records because you wanted to be the best cover band. You wanted to play it like the record.
Yep.
So it was a great training ground, to get in front of an audience and perform, and also B, to dissect records. But I soon saw that was really a dead end, so I joined an original group, and that led to another group, and eventually I've ended up living in the Music Building on 30th Street in Manhattan with a band that was. We were produced by Jimmy Miller of the Rolling Stones producer. That was sort of ill-fated. I'm giving you the cliff notes.
No, this is good. This is good.
And but in that Music Building, I mean, Cyndi Lauper lived there. The Dead Boys, every different kind of band you can imagine was in that building. So I got to meet a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then eventually we became managed by Bill Aucoin, who was the Kiss manager, who realized that maybe this band wasn't the end all be all for me. I left that band, stayed managed by Bill Aucoin, and then I got a call from him, and he said, "Did you ever hear of Billy Idol? We're managing him. He's just moved to New York." And they put the two of us together. And at first, it was just to hang out and kind of like, here he was, didn't really know any musicians in New York, so. I kind of offered my service. I said, I know every bass player, I know every drummer, I'll help you find them. And then when it comes time for a guitar player, I hope you consider me. And by then I had kind of gotten into his head and saw what he was looking for.
Yeah.
Because I came from that whole school of, the English guitar heroes, Jeff Beck and Hendrix and all that stuff. And punk rock certainly wasn't about that. But we found the mutual love of things like Lou Reed and some of the earlier, so I wouldn't say punk bands, but kind of avant-garde, Talking Heads, Television,
Yep.
Even Blondie, all of that stuff that I had seen happen in New York, so we kind of like found the common ground.
Yeah, didn't Billy have some type of commercial success prior to arriving to New York, right? Wasn't
Well,
that the case?
Dancing with Myself was released.
Okay, yeah. So he
Yeah.
did have that. So
Oh,
that was so yeah, you're right. Like you were in New York at a time where like New York was very musically rich. You had a
oh
lot of
man.
punk rock, you had a lot of pop, as you said, Cyndi Lauper, all
Yeah.
those bands coming out. For you, was it like did okay, so let me backtrack. Like my career, we like I played in a heavy metal band called Unearth. We would
Yeah.
play wherever there was electricity, right? So we toured nonstop. It was like 6 years of that, the grind. But like for you, being centrally located in New York at that time period, did you feel like as long as you put together or hung in there, it was bound to happen where you were going to break out of New York and become something? Did it feel that way to you?
Um, well, there was a lot of opportunities, you know.
Yeah.
Um, either you could be in a band and the band would get signed, or there was a really fertile session uh, kind of system happening in New York. So you could be a session guitar player in New York and make a really good living, as some of my friends did. Or you could, work in electronics. I remember because I always had a really good I used to build pedal boards for people, and so I had a good understanding. And at one point, Electro Harmonics had a contest, and they set up in a little soundstage on 48th Street, and they had about 20 pedals, and you walked in, and you had to arrange them and demo them without knowing what would be in front of you. And I think, it was line out the door of guitar players who did that. I ended up winning that contest to be a product demo person. They never contacted me. I joined Billy Idol, and then they placed an ad in the Village Voice looking for me. So I called Mike Matthews, and I think that's his name, the owner of the company, and I said, "Yeah, thank you for contacting me, but I'm actually in a band now."
That's awesome. So even though the Billy had a somewhat of a hit, you were on the cusp of like put it this way, when the band broke or when Billy Idol broke as a musician, you were right along the ride. You were right in the middle of it. So it probably felt super gratifying that you did something that worked with an artist, right?
Well, I mean, people don't realize that the first album didn't really break Billy, because first album, although it had White Wedding on it, um, we were still playing really. It was a van tour, playing a lot of shitty little punk rock clubs, and I remember my first check. They said, okay, well, we're going to put you on a retainer. I thought, wow, it was $250 a week.
Yep. Mailbox money.
Yeah, and I was living in the basement of my parents' house, and
Yeah.
even though I was a touring musician, but the thing was, to me, I was on a record finally. I had recorded a record, and to hear my guitar playing on White Wedding on the radio gave me the adrenaline to know that if I stuck with it. I mean, White Wedding was the last song recorded for that record, and I just knew the next record, if that was our jumping off point, then we would absolutely nail it.
So when you write a song like White Wedding, right? And I
Well,
have this.
I didn't write that. That's
Oh, you
Bill.
did. Okay.
Yeah,
So all right. So but any of the songs that you've written or you played on,
right,
for instance, that if it's a hit, right?
right.
I have this weird fantasy in my head that I want to understand what that's like. If you've experienced the band and tell you guys you can buy Lamborghinis at that point because you're going to be rich, is that how it works?
Well, the Rebel Yell record was, it was no, sometimes everything aligns for a reason.
Yeah.
So we were in Electric Lady Studios, in an absolutely fantastic studio. We had, to me, one of the great engineers, Dave Whitman, who had done everything from Mahavishnu Orchestra to Houses of the Holy to all the Kiss records. So I had a guy who could capture my guitar
Yeah.
and make it big. I would bring in these records or CDs and play them for other engineers. Obviously, a Van Halen one. I want my guitar to sound as big as that, and they never captured it. Dave went, oh, I know what you're looking for. So I had a guy who could capture it. And then Keith Forsey, who was really the third member of the band. He was Billy's producer from the Last Generation X record.
Yeah.
So also, we were totally aligned with what we needed to do, and we weren't afraid to take risks. So when we had a song like Eyes Without a Face, which, Billy Idol had never done before, a kind of semi-ballad thing, we went, yeah, but it feels right.
Yeah.
So so we would, we had Electric Lady on lockout, and at the end of the week, every, say, Friday night or something, we'd play whatever we had done, and we would look at each other and go, "We've got it. We've got something here." There's no mystery to that. When you know you've got something really great, whether it becomes a huge commercial success or not, it's one of those that you go, "Yeah, I." We got
Oh, hold on one second. We're having a quick Skype is hold on one second. Let's call Mr. Steve. Steven's back real quick. Sorry. Sorry, we lost you there for a second. Let me make sure you're back officially. Hold on one sec. Um, let's see real quick. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're still paused. So, just say something real quick. All right, you're still technically here. I'll see if I can fix it, but let's keep this conversation going because this is way too good. So you're saying like amazing. Like when you mentioned Eyes Without a Face specifically, and that's important to me because what? Okay, so that's very un-Billy Idol, right? Like it's not like your typical Billy Idol song. So was there any type of, as you said, there was a little bit of like that's not what you guys normally do, but you knew it was a good song. Was there? There's sometimes some artists ruin their career. You know, it's like career suicide when they try something different. Was there any type of that going on in the room at one time, and then you were just like, screw it, the song's awesome? Oh, hold on one second. We're gonna kill the stream and start it right over. I'm hearing that we're not hearing. So hold on one second.